Hello there. I'm number 12 AD, sometimes called the Dark Rose, and this is going to be my new series. Okay, as you can see, I am on a void world type deal, and the reason for this is because while in creative mode here, I'm going to create something that I have never fully created before. I am a writer, so I like to write stories. And one of the stories that I am currently working on, I call it Kin. And I am going to use this whole thing to build the world of Kin. But first, I obviously need to establish where the world is going to be starting from. So, as you probably know from the void, it's really like the bottom of the level. Okay, so I'm going to drop myself down here and show you guys real quick. Okay, so this is where I am. F3 shows that I'm at 18.2, negative 60, and then 24.58. Okay, now the reason that these are important is because when I drop off, like so, I right away get into the black, and I'm dying in the void. Okay, so that is how low we are. Okay, and the world, the reason that I chose this is so that we could build up, and see just how big our world can get from this. Now, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start by building a main building in my kingdom of Raykin, which is basically a main area in the world of Kin that I'm building. So first thing I'm going to need to do is figure out what material I'm using. Now, the land of Southern Point, which is where Castle Raykin is from, it is a desert kingdom. Think like Agrabah from Aladdin. It's a desert type kingdom with an oasis. And the first thing that I want to do is I want to build the castle, because that's best what I know. So let's go and look in the blocks. Now I'm going to want some bedrock, obviously, that way the sand doesn't fall everywhere when I'm building with it. Okay, so let's see here. Sand, technically yes, I do want sand. It's not going to be as prominent right now as it looks. I'm mostly going to use that up to a certain point. Really though, what I'm looking for is sandstones. Now see here, I've got multiple choices for sandstone. I'm going to use normal sandstone, chiseled sandstone, and cut sandstone. But I'm also going to go into we're also going to be using some underground type blocks, so we're going to look at what the darker blocks could be for this activity. Okay, I'll worry about the slabs later. Right now I'm just showing you the kind of stones that I'm using. Smooth sandstone, definitely going to need that later. Now, for anyone who's built underground stuff, when they came out with the caverns and caves, I know I'm obviously saying this update wrong, but when they came out with that, they came up with deep slate and stuff like that. So we're going to be using some of that for this build. Okay, maybe even a few other surprise blocks, but since we're starting off at the bottom here, I needed to make sure that what we were using looked correctly. And concrete is not what we need. At least not technically. Okay? Now, ordinarily when I do a build, I try to have a village that I base everything off of. This is something that I'm not used to, is building on my own without one. So we're going to look and see what we got. All the blocks are rather beautiful, honestly. Here we get to comment and see all of these. The end stuff actually looks really cool, but that's not the look that we're going for. Now, we're going to go and grab some Sorry, we are going to start by grabbing some, let's say, cracked stone and deep slate bricks. Okay? Oh, wait, never mind. That one is what we need instead, is the cracked deep stone. The cracked deep slate bricks, sorry. Now the reason that we're going for this is because when you're making a dungeon for the castle, you want it to be a darker brick than the rest of your kingdom because it's underground. Okay? Now another thing that I'm going to get is I'm going to get a type of light. Now, decoration blocks sometimes has the lights we're looking for. Because Southern Point is a kingdom of fire and sun, we are essentially going to be using a lot of sun-colored things, such as the yellow glazed terracotta, but I'm not going to be using that until we get up to the surface level. So for now, that's staying where it is, and I will come back for that. I do need to make a specific type of banner, but again, I'm not going to worry about that. Right now, we're worried about the dungeon. Okay, that's why I got like the deep slate and everything. Okay, now the stone cutter, it could be used for the dungeon. It could look really cool doing that, honestly, but at the same time, it's like unnecessary. Unless you're going for like a horrific dungeon that's used at all times. But I'm not really. Shroomlight. Shroomlight, I actually do like the concept of that, so we might use that. Lodestone. I honestly have no idea what lodestone or respawn anchor is. I'm not used to this update still. I know, that sounds horrible considering how far along we are, but in all seriousness, I'm not used to being on creative, so I haven't found it or made it by accident in my worlds yet. This is actually this is one of the few times where I'm on a creative mode, and one of my friends asked me to make video for this, so here I am making a video about my entire process. So we have our first starting blocks, so we're going to start off with this, and then later on I'll come back for chains and stuff, because let's face it, if you're going to have a dungeon, you have to have chains. The skulk sensor looks like it would sort of fit in the dungeon, but at the same time it's like, what the heck? Let's see here. Redstone, not really going to use much of that in my builds. I'll be honest here, I'm not good with redstone. Okay, I'll probably learn as we keep going with this stuff. And let's see here. As for doors, because every dungeon has to have some sort of door, I'm thinking either dark oak or the warped doors, honestly, at first. I might even just go with the mangrove door, the crimson door. Those are all very good options. Okay. Transportation. I'm not going to worry about that right now, but I will say that I have always been very, very much wanting to have boats with chests, because oh my god, I travel so much trying to find villages to start my games. So actually having that helps. Now, the reason that these are saved into my hotbar is because of another project that I'm working on, and I might just go back and start videoing that because it's fun. But yeah. Anyway, let's see. Beacon, not going to use. Turtle egg, nope. Conduit, nope. There's a lot of stuff in here, and it really does look amazing. But I'm not going to be using every material for this project, because this is just one part of the bigger world, obviously. So every part of the world is going to have different things. Now, when I am done with this, I will come back and grab things. Like, I'm going to have a couple of things spawned in, such as, some cave spiders, just to make things look creepy in the dungeon. Honestly, they're going to be in cages though, so don't worry if you ever take a tour of my worlds. When I build a creative world, I don't know. Just don't worry about it. Anyway, creepers. I will never purposefully spawn a creeper unless, like, I have an absolute need for something to blow up in my face. Dolphins. Not for the desert kingdom. Donkey. Maybe. But only after I get, like, the trading center set up. Bats, possibly. Blaze, no. I'm not going to be spawning a lot of the dangerous stuff, like the Elder Guardian and the Enderman, but I will be spawning stuff like foxes and frogs and the glow squid and goats, Mostly what I'm going to be spawning though are the villagers and horses and yeah, the llamas, I'll admit. Mules, yeah. Ooh, there's polar bear spawns. Right, I forgot all about that. I don't know how I forgot that, but we're not going to worry about the polar bears until we get to the opposite kingdom for this. Anyway, I'm looking for, well, I don't even need to look for the egg, honestly, but I'm going to be making iron golems, actually, and I don't think you can just spawn those anyway like that. You have to build iron golems still, so it's like, ugh. But nevertheless, I'm going to be building a bunch of iron golems because in a kingdom, you really should have guards, and instead of just having a bunch of villagers wandering around, I'm going to have a guard thing. But I will be spawning a couple of wandering traders once I have the trading part of the village set up. Bottles of enchanting. I am not going to be using a lot of things that you guys would normally use, I'm betting. Yeah, the music discs, by the way, are super cool. I have no idea about these banner patterns. I'm not really going to be using them because none of the patterns are what I want. See, the pattern that I want on my banner for this particular kingdom is actually going to be a sun pattern, but since you can't make that, I'm going to have a radiant sunish pattern, so it's going to be like fire looking, because Southern Point is a kingdom of fire. Don't really need to worry about food. Maybe when I build the kitchen. I am going to name pretty much everyone I spawn in, just because I think it'll be cool if I can spawn in everyone that is important to my story. But at the same time, I acknowledge that I'm not going to be able to because the story that I'm building, it's not even all people, and there's so many different looks and customization that I want to do for the people. So I'm probably not even going to do that. But if I have an animal that I really, really want to name, when I spawn in animals, yeah, I'll go for that. Let's see here. Armor. I will come back for armor, but I'm going to come back for the leather armor. I'm going to dye it so that when I'm building the armory, it looks like it's ready for these particular kingdoms that I'm building. Okay. And, yeah. So there will be jobs and stuff. There will be things that you guys will recognize right off the bat. But for the most part, it's just going to be a little old me. Okay. And, yeah. Hi. Anyway, let's get building. Okay, so it's nighttime now. That's not going to even be a bother to us. I will say though that this is part one because I'll be leaving in an hour to go to work. So yeah, but yeah, I like what I'm doing. Now let's get this started. We're not going to go any lower than this line here. So I'm actually going to use this as, there we go. We're going to replace all of this with bedrock first thing so that I have a barrier line and know what the hey I'm doing. Okay? That way I don't accidentally go too far down. And if I ever switch it over to normal Minecraft or playthrough, if I ever switch it over to a survival mode, it'll be easier for everyone to just know where the boundaries are and not fall into a void, hopefully. Now, the Southern Point here is going to take a long time, but so are all the other kingdoms. There are 6 kingdoms in this story, and each one has its own theme. Southern Point is sun-themed. They worship a goddess named Aurora, the goddess of the sun. And the reason that I chose that name is because Aurora means light or sunrise, and it's a Roman goddess to mean that. But if you go to the opposite kingdom, they worship Diana, which is essentially the opposite of Aurora, and she is a moon goddess. Okay, so both those names are from Roman mythology. And yeah, I am going to keep talking for a long time just because I don't know what I would fill up videos with otherwise. And yeah, I mean, yeah. So this is not going to be the full size of the dungeon, obviously. Dungeons should be bigger than this, but this is just, I'm making the platform base where we spawned this so that I don't forget where we end up starting this mess. because like I said, I am going to be using sandstone and sand falls right through due to gravity. For those of you who have somehow never seen this, I'll give you a demonstration real quick. Let me see. Sand. Here we go. Bye bye. I think I got burned up by the sun. Anyway, back to what we're doing. Okay. Now, the reason I'm going to have, I'm probably going to have bedrock on hand at all times. Now, when I get to the higher levels after I'm done with the dungeon, I will not be doing bedrock on the floor. I will be using the sandstone so that I can make like rivers and stuff look pretty and all that. But the bedrock helps when I'm establishing where the bottom of the area is. So once I'm done building Southern Point, we'll move on to another area, and each area is going to have a baseline of bedrock showing where the barriers are, the borders. Not like the border of the kingdoms, but like the border for the ground floor for me. So it'll help me to establish where things are. Mind you, I'm not going to be following the entire place around with bedrock, but still, that it'll help. Yeah. Now, this is going to take forever, and no, I'm really sucky at cutting and editing. So what you see is 100% legit and genuine, and I'm not going to be editing any of those parts at all because, again, I don't know how to edit videos. I am not very good at that. In fact, I'm really just sucky in general at this stuff. But like I said, a friend of mine wanted me to show off how I build all sorts of things. And they wanted me to show an actual build where I had no restraints or limits. So I thought, okay, what if I build one of my worlds for my stories? So here I am building Kin, or more accurately, the entire world of Kin. Just because, thanks to the new updates, I can do that. Because Southern Point, like I said, it's going to have the sun be its main theme, but kingdoms like Chaos, the Kingdom of Chaos is actually very much a deep slate style thing. We're going to be using a lot of deep slate when we get to that kingdom, and it's going to have like amethyst and other gemstones all over. So maybe by the time I get over there, they'll have added more gems than amethyst, and that'll actually be really cool. But that tells you how long I'm going to be working on this build, honestly, is if I'm going to be doing all sorts of things like that. Another of the kingdoms is the opposite kingdom for Southern Point. It's called the Kingdom of Frost. Now, the Kingdom of Frost and the Kingdom of Southern Point aren't at war with each other or anything like that, so don't worry about anything like that or any ravaged lands, really. With Kin, the story is actually going to be about this one kid who basically he connects all the kingdoms in some way or form. And the reason for that is because he was born with a birthmark that dictates that. Because everyone in Southern Point has a birthmark on them that basically tells a destiny. And his destiny just so happened to be his birthmark was a bracelet, essentially, or at least it looked like one. It was chain links connecting to 6 shields, and the 6 shields represent the 6 kingdoms. And the chain link means bonding them together. At least that's what everyone thinks. I'm not going to spoil the story because I am planning on finishing this story up and writing it out and everything. I'm even planning on putting it onto a website as a webcomic soon. But first I have to finish drawing it out and figure out how to digitalize it because I suck at digital art. But anyway, that's the basis for it that we're going for. Then there's kingdoms like the Oakland Kingdom. Now, for anyone who's watched or read the comics for Sonic the Hedgehog, you're going to recognize some aspects for the Oakland Kingdom from the Acorn Kingdom, and that's because it's heavily based upon the Acorn Kingdom in style and in theme. But at the same time, it's definitely its own place because while you've got the source being a power of magic for the Acorn Kingdom, For the Oakland Kingdom, they really do have this connection to the trees. They aren't a hippie kingdom, so to speak, but if you talk to the king of the Chaos Kingdom, he'll say they are. So it's always a bit of a joke with that, is that they're more dangerous than they appear, but then again, everyone is truly. Then another kingdom that I'm going to be working on is heavily tech supported. So all that copper that we got that nobody has a real use for, except for making lightning rods, I'm going to be using that heavily in the Gears kingdom. I'm going to be like making it tech styled. I have no mods, by the way, so anyone who tries to ask me what mods I'm using, this is 100% vanilla Minecraft, guys. Okay, so yeah. Yeah. So let's see here. Okay. Now, I know what you guys are all thinking. Why am I making such long videos, and why am I going to be boring you all to tears with this? And the reason because, why not? Also, I'm told that, well, when I... sorry, speech impediment. Anyway, I'm told that a lot of people like what I build and what I design and my creativity and everything, but they don't know how I do it or how I process it. And part of the reason is because I never can slow down to do it. So today I went and decided that I just woke up for work and everything. I'm going to slow myself down, give myself time, and I figured that I would go and show you guys what I can build. Okay? So this is what I can build. I can build all sorts of things, and it's really fun to show what I can do. And I know that a lot of people don't understand it when I first talk about it, and I don't expect you guys to understand it, honestly. Now, for those of you who saw a previous video that was labeled Kin, that was a base flat world, but then I realized I'm not going to be able to get everything I want without taking forever to blow up the ground. And not to mention, the entire flat world only lets you do one region type deal, or one biome. And the whole world of Kin isn't the desert. I'm sorry, it's not. It's the world of Kin, it's everywhere. It's got the desert, it's got frost, it's got forests, it's got tundra, yeah. So I didn't want to go and have to deal with all that sand forever. So I figure just putting myself out here and making this will help me a lot in the long run, even if it doesn't seem like it. So I'll be able to build up this entire thing. Now, I've already got half of this done in bedrock, and this is a pretty large platform already, but again, it's not as big as I need it to be for the dungeon. And yeah, the dungeon's not the most important thing of the castle, honestly, but it's something that helps as a landmark for when you're working underground, is making a dungeon or something underground, just so that you know what part of the world you're in. Now, Kin is not a story for little children, honestly. I mean, at first it seems to be, but I'm going to be honest here. The story I'm writing is not meant for the faint of heart, for little kids and all that, and that's mostly because of the topics that it covers. Some children will find themselves in my writing. I always promise that, but I never promise you how they're going to find themselves, because I don't know. It's always up to them and how their life is. But the saddest thing is if they find themselves connecting to certain characters in this world, it will mean some heavy duty stuff needs to be talked about, because the world of Kin isn't always friendly, but no world truly is. I mean, if you have a world that is truly friendly, then somebody has made a kids show and they went out of their way to try to make it 100% child friendly. And then you've got those guys on YouTube who always try to ruin it and make it all like, oh my god, did you see that? This is so immature. This is not for kids. This is secretly this, even though it really wasn't. You guys know who I'm talking about. Don't say you don't. Anyway, so we're going to keep on with this until I'm done with the bedrock. And today might just be a bedrock episode. It might just be me working on the bedrock and no creativity whatsoever. But that's okay, because this is an intro video. You guys are just getting used to this. You guys are just getting used to me. I'm not expecting everyone to get used to me or to even acknowledge that my videos are here. So whoever shows up for this, whoever sees this, thanks. So yeah. And yeah, I'm actually gonna cut this video short, so yeah, it might really just be a bedrock video. And this video is gonna be cut short in about 15 more minutes, so yay. But nevertheless, the concept behind Southern Point here is a Kingdom of the Sun type deal, not to be confused with the Emperor's New Groove's original story. Mind you, there are similar aspects in it, but at the same time, the idea is not Aztec or Mayan. I always mix up the two because I'm dumb like that. But the idea behind it is Agrabah from Aladdin in some styles, but you'll notice that I have no clue about certain things, so you might find some European style in the build, just because I suck at figuring out certain things and understanding other things. Like, I know how to build European in Minecraft really easily, but it's going to take me a long time to figure out how to build, like, Agrabah style in here, simply because when you look up Agrabah, all you're going to get is, all you're really going to find for the most part is the Disney references and stuff. And while that is technically what I'm going for, it's not all that I wanted it to be. So the first thing that I'm going to do is build the dungeon, and that's going to establish where the base floor of the entire castle is. Now the dungeon's not going to be the hugest thing in here, because there's also going to be the pantry nearby it. The dungeon is actually going to be a separate room from other underground chambers and areas that are hidden. So that's going to be an interesting thing. And from what I understand, the dungeons, yeah, they had like death pits and stuff. That is going to be a bit of a thing here. So I will have a pit that drops into the void, and I'll leave a note that says it drops into the void, keep villagers away from it and everything. I'll have the whole spiel. But yeah, I'm gonna have it fenced off, obviously, so that should help. Now, the main characters for the story of Kin, it mainly focuses on this one boy, but his whole family is involved in the story at some point or another. So you'll have you'll have very, very few images of the mother due to what happens to her. I'm not spoiling it all. It's mostly going to show for the first like season what's going on with the brother and with the cousin. Sorry, they're so close that they're almost brothers, but really they're cousins. You're gonna have focusing on the main character and his cousin, and partially his uncle and father. His father really does try to be there for him despite everything going on. And then his uncle sort of takes on the role of being there for him when his father can't, so that's always nice. Now, I will warn you, certain characters have bases, or rather, they were based off of other characters originally. Like, I had originally not intended for the uncle to even be a good guy. I had originally intended for him to be a scumbag villain. Think Dr. Robotnik from Sonic the Hedgehog, and I mean like the original Dr. Robotnik. That was the baseline for the uncle in this story, and I have no shame in admitting it. But as I kept working on it, I realized he doesn't have to be that way. His looks are loosely based off of him, but he himself became his own character after a while I kept working with him. So you'll see Dr. Julian Raykin, while he still shares the first name of the original Dr. Robotnik, he's no longer essentially Robotnik. Yes, he's an expert in robotics and engineering, but he's also just the royal scientist. So there's that. And his child, well, Dr. Reagan is asexual. I've established that in my mind, and so he shall be in the story. So he's ace, and he created his son, Julian Jr. He's a robot. And his biggest pet peeve is when people don't acknowledge that his boy is his boy. Everyone thinks that he's a machine. So he's really grateful when his little brother, Colin Sr., and his nephew, Colin Jr., and yeah, everyone's got a junior or senior for some reason in that family. It's like the biggest joke among the four. But anyway, so he's really grateful that his brother and nephew acknowledge his child as his child rather than just thinking that he's a machine. So that's always a nice touch for the family. Now, I'm going to assume that this block thing is like 64 by 64. I mean, I could count it out and be annoyed with myself later on, honestly, and I probably should just double check sizes, because when you're doing custom worlds like this, you really should be checking on size and everything. I really don't want to, though, because I'm like, ugh, all this stone. Oh, that's another trick I need to do. So I'm going to move the sand for now. I'm going to... I'll keep the sandstone, move these. Yeah. I'm going to move this in here. Keep the lanterns, but another thing that I need is actually normal torches. So I'm going to search for torches. I don't know why I'm typing in search. Torch. There we go. So, as I'm saying, I want normal torches for this, because if I go and get the soul torches, it's going to look a lot differently. The soul torches and soul fire stuff, I'm actually going to save for the Kingdom of Frost, because their whole theme scheme is blues and whites and silvers, because they're an Arctic tundra kingdom. And I thought that the soul stuff was actually really cool for that. Whereas the Fire Kingdom would be better off with like normal lanterns and torches. Okay. Trees. Now, every kingdom will have something, but Frost Kingdom is a tundra-based thing, so a lot of their vegetation is going to be underground. With Southern Point, I'm going to actually build custom trees. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's what I gotta do for this. So what I'm going to do is I will have, I'm thinking either the jungle sapling or the acacia sapling. I know I want it to look like an acacia tree, but it's not an acacia tree. So I'm probably going to do jungle sapling and some acacia leaves, or even just, I might actually just put down big drip leaves or something, because I want it to look like palm trees, honestly. And that's going to be a long, hard build. Now, obviously, we're not going to worry about that right now, because we are still at the bottom of the barrel baseline. Now, the reason that I grabbed the torches is so that I could count how many freaking blocks I am from each other, because they all look the same. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so every 5, I'm going to put a light. Okay, so now that that's done, there. Bye-bye, wherever you went. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now I do this because I like having certain structures in increments of 5, because with 5 you can not only have your hole, you can have like the 5 even, and then you can have the door in the middle wherever you're building, but it also helps to establish how much you've got going on there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so 35 blocks wide. I was totally off. It is nowhere near 64 by 64, which honestly is fine, but we're gonna build it up. Okay, Now, I know that you guys are probably, again, wondering why I'm spending this much time with just bedrock and not showing you anything cool, why I'm not taking the time to edit, because, again, one, I don't know how to edit, and two, this is just an introductory video, okay? I'll be making more videos, and I'll be chatting the whole time on them because I have no life, so this is what I do, okay? I'm not expecting a video to pop up every day, but I'm hoping to get to a point where I feel comfortable enough to post one once a week. So here's hoping. And yeah. Anyway, that is 35. So that's that. Another thing that we can do to help us keep track of things. Where is decoration maybe? Oh, yep, that was it. Now, the reason for this is so that we can get this over with. Okay. Okay, so as you can see, I'm making this the center block. Okay, so I want it 35 that way, and it's going to be 35 that way. Okay? Why am I doing this to myself? Because I have no life. This is why. This is established. Okay? Thank you. Now, if I could stop pressing E by accident, that'd be great. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I'm losing count, but whatever. I'll just keep doing this for a while. Okay. Now let's go back over here and count out with torches. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Double check that. Yeah, that's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1. Have I been doing that the whole time? Yeah, I probably have. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now let's see where we're at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm already over, so we're gonna start here and count up to 7, and then we'll delete the rest of it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so that's our cutoff. And while there's nothing wrong with having that there, honestly, because when you're making creative worlds in the void, you probably should just have a layer of bedrock anyway. The reason that we're doing this is so that I have an established line of how much and how far. Now, honestly, here, that's how long I want the castle to be. So that's honestly gonna be fine that way. Or at least how long I want the dungeon to be. The castle might be a bit bigger just because of everything that I'm going to throw in it. And because I'm crazy and I've never been inside a physical real castle before. So, yeah. And before someone complains about my lack of research, I will point out, I'm flat broke. I'm not a famous YouTuber. I am a nerd on a computer in my apartment that I share with my husband in the middle of a plague city, in the middle of a country filled with plague, because that is what we call COVID, is the plague. Okay? Also, we're dealing with apparently everyone deciding that we're going to go back to the medieval days. So if we're going to go and be all medieval towards females, I'm going to be all like, you know what, screw it. Yeah, we're in the plague. We're in the middle of the medieval times. Okay, thank you. Now, let's see how long this is, because I actually like how long that is for the dungeon, and I want to keep it that way. But I want to know how much that is so that I can work with that later. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. I'm getting dizzy, yay. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I am going to expand this just to be annoying and have that whole 5 thing that I'm going for. Okay, so that'll fix that up. Okay, so yeah, that's just where I'm going with this. Right? And I'm going to cut this video off after I'm done making all the bedrock for this, because I still have to pack my lunch and get ready for work technically. So shame on me, I guess, for trying to get this done. I mean, I knew I wasn't going to get far, but I didn't know how long it would take me just to do bedrock, because I'm that much of a pain when I do my bedrock worlds. Okay? So yeah, so this will be a, well, 35 plus 35 equals 70 if I'm not wrong. So, and I didn't even count how much it is over there, but let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, oh, I think it's 35 by 70. That's actually not bad. That's a good rectangle. So, yeah. But that's another reason why you should have torches out, is to help you with that kind of math, because yay. We all suck at math at some point. Anyway, so yeah, we're establishing that. Okay, now the reason that I can say that my videos currently are child safe is because I don't curse, and I can't actually, I'm not going to spoil anything for the stories. And honestly, the dungeons are not going to be that bad. Honestly, it's just going to be the cages. So yeah, it'll more likely be an underground dark zoo for cave spiders, and whatever else I think should go into here. Okay. Now, doing this is going to take forever, because it does. It does. Okay, there's no denying it. Okay. It's just how that works. But is it going to be worth it in the end? I actually think so. Yeah. Oh, I went over. Let's fix that. See, this is why we set up a perimeter, so that we know how far it takes us to do this. Okay. Okay, so I was only off by a little bit. That's good. Now I have to fill up this whole thing with bedrock. So, yeah. I might even just, like, yeah. I might just end the video and then finish up the bedrock here tomorrow, because I do actually have to go get ready for work. And I still haven't eaten breakfast, because I'm that pain in the tail who does that. Anyway. So, yeah, hope you enjoyed my little monologue, and we will see each other next time. Okay? So, yeah. Bye.